Hello and welcome to my Born in Hell website. This is my video series that I'm doing for my Born in Hell website. My name is Lorianne Smith. I'm a child abuse survivor. I'm also a public speaking advocate, co-founded Advocates United for Humanity, really speaking out and trying to make a difference in this world and to stop violence against anyone. Humanity, humans, animals, you name it. It's all about mainly child protection, and protection of human rights, child rights, animal rights. This is my little cat, little Lori. She's in all the videos, almost. She loves to come say hi, and she's really sweet. And we're looking at a continuation of a video series that I'm doing, and this is really to just detail graphically, explicitly my life, really, and the abuse that my family, suffered under, all at the hands of my parents, my mother and my dad, my brother, with me, child sexual abuse. It's very graphic and detailed. I would suggest, if you have any idea that you might be sensitive to material that that deals with abuse of any kind, whether it's child abuse, domestic violence, child sexual abuse, violence of any kind, please don't watch my videos, right? Because these are very explicit. I'm just telling it like it is. Truth is absolutely necessary. If we're going to make a difference in this, and we are going to, if we are going to actually make any progress in child abuse prevention and protection of children and child safety, we have to be honest. And so I don't sugarcoat it. I don't try to present it as a more pleasant story just for the listener's ears, so that it's not so damaging. Because what happened to me, what happens to these little kids out here who are laying in the morgue right now, is absolutely unacceptable. It's horrific. They're dead. I survived. My mother didn't kill me. My dad didn't kill me. And my brother didn't kill me. So I survived. I'm here. But the abuse was horrific. And, no child should ever have to suffer at the hands of anyone. And so, my God, especially at the hands of their caregivers, the people that are supposed to protect them, to care for them, to take care of them, as best they can with the resources that they have. And so, that's why I do what I do. It's really all about keeping this from getting shoved under the carpet. And it's also really because my brothers went to their graves. They both committed suicide, two of my brothers. And, people thought they were such losers. Always heard story, everybody always talking about how they were such losers because they were drug users and they never got their lives together. Well, my brother committed suicide at the age of 33. My other brother died of a drug overdose in a shelter. And I was 27, going on 28 years old, and he was 7 years older, so he was like 35 years old. So in their early 30s to mid 30s, my two brothers killed themselves. Okay, I'm heading to 30. I'm really not doing much better, right? So I'm doing a series of videos, and you have to really be careful if this type of information is going to bother you. Please don't watch. If you're a survivor on your healing journey, make sure that you're far enough along in your healing journey that you're feeling safe, that you could listen to someone else's story about abuse and it's not going to trigger you about your own abuse and send you regressing back, backwards in your healing journey. You really don't want that. Neither do I. Make sure you're very safe when you're listening to my stuff. Any of my stuff, even the audios, the child abuse prevention audios, the one child abuse survivor to another audios, I'm presenting a lot of very sensitive material. And, you need to listen at your own discretion. And minors, anyone 18 and under, I just ask that you would have an adult check my stuff out first just to make sure that it's age appropriate for you, because I have no idea how young the young people will be listening to my stuff out there. So anyone under the age of 18, have an adult or parental consent. Have them check it out with you to make sure that it's something that's okay for you age appropriately, right? Child abuse prevention is my number one goal, right? And as well as, there's so many advocates out here. I'm just a person who's willing to speak about this stuff, right? So you need to keep yourself safe and you need to be protected at all times. And so we'll get into this. We left off looking at years, really, what was going on in my life from after my puff of smoke dream of my perfect man, the one who was going to love me forever and not necessarily fix everything, but who was just going to love me, just for me, just as I was, and he was going to treat me right. That relationship's over, so I just continue on living with my abuser parents. I end up going to cooking school at the age of 26 years old. I have an interest in food. I like to eat. I've always enjoyed eating and food, and I love to cook. And I figure, hey, it'll be something hands-on instead of sitting at an office desk. I'll be able to do something hands-on, a little more creative, and I was just looking for something different. So I went to cooking school, and I ended up in the Grand Canyon, and I talked about that in the last video. You can go back and watch that. I spent a year in the Grand Canyon with suicidal ideation, and at the age of 26 through 26, turning 27, and I just didn't do well. I was depressed. I didn't talk to anybody. I never really was all that. I didn't trust people. See, I don't trust people. I've just been abused my whole life. I'm now an adult survivor of abuse who has never dealt with my issues. Never. The abuse from my parents or the abuse from my brother, sexual abuse, I have not dealt with any of it. Right? And so I don't do well. I still don't do well. I still hate myself. I hate my body, first of all, and I've always hated my body. But especially after the child sexual rape, child sexual abuse, my brother, incest. You can go back and catch that. I talk on all of my videos really about that from the age where he raped me. I was 8 years old. So you can go back and catch that. I don't really want to be here, But something keeps telling me, because one of my brothers, Rob, had killed himself when I was 20. He was 33. I hadn't seen him for years, thank God. He's a brother that sexually abused me. I didn't care if he committed suicide. At this point, I still didn't care. And I'm 27 years old. I finished my year contract at the Grand Canyon. It was a contract. It was for 1 year. I go home, back to my abuser's place, right? My abuser's parents' house, right? And that's where all my stuff is. I didn't take all my stuff to the Grand Canyon because you don't get your own place. You have to room and a board, and you don't get to bring your furniture. You don't get to bring your bed. I didn't have any furniture. I had a bed and a dresser and some stuff that I had bought. I'm living at my abuser parents' house. This is like, this is just a life just of really, I'm not doing well. You know what I mean? As an adult. So I go back to my mom's always sick, right? So I go back home with the abuser parents. We've now moved, we moved before I went to the Grand Canyon to this little house. I just didn't mention that. We moved to this little house. It was actually bigger than the apartment. It was actually, not that it was nicer, because it had cockroaches running all over it. And New Mexico is just famous for that, the desert, right? But it was a cute little house, and, I had a bigger room. It's kind of nicer, it was in a nice block instead of being in gangland territory, right? And so my parents were there. Nothing's changed between them. They still hate each other. They still can't get along. Even when they can't get in the same room together because a fight will break out. Nothing's changed. That's all the same. But they're less violent. They're not physically violent towards each other anymore. Because see, I'm 27. My mom's 38 years older than me. She is now 65. And my dad is 42 years older than me. So he's now 69. See, there's only so much, they've only got so much energy. My mom is very sick. They don't physically duke it out anymore. My dad does not have my mother against the wall slapping her around. You goddamn whore. You know what I mean? And my mom's not scratching my dad's face anymore, or thumping him with things and bashing him in the head with ceramic lamps, right? They're done with that. But they still curse each other, and my mom still throws things at my dad. If he says something she don't want to hear, she's like, I don't want to hear that. You shut up, you goddamn son of a bitch. This was my parents' life. This is how I grew up, right? And that never changed. They continued that right on to the end. And she'd throw something at him, whatever she had there in front of her, a book, coffee, always a cup of coffee, whatever was sitting on the table she can get a hold of. She was famous for that. So that never changed, but I go home, and it's December. I'm 27 years old. Actually, I'm turning 28 now because my birthday's in December. I'm turning 28. I've been home for a few months now, and I'm helping with the bills. I got a job. I'm not just sitting around like lazy bum. I do all the laundry. I try to help my mom, as much as I can. Of course, I'm that fucking little whore, that goddamn rape child that I never wanted in the first place. But and I'm worthless. I never do anything. I never helped my mother. She had to beat the shit out of me because I was worthless, useless, rotten piece of shit. But, I'm there. I'm doing the laundry. I go to the store for her. I cook. I do all kinds of stuff for them. I'm now a cook. I'm a certified cook. I don't have my red seal, but I'm just working on getting myself back into school because I want to finish. All I need is a baking program. Once I finish my baking program, I'm a certified red seal chef. Sweet. And I was just looking forward to that because I really wanted to do something with my life and I really wanted to that accomplishment. I graduated high school. I'm the only one that did. I graduated cooking school. I was feeling like, okay, I'm not such a loser after all, right? So it's December. My brother calls. It's just before Christmas. It's probably just the first week in December. My brother calls. Howard. He's up in Canada. He's been up there. He's 7 years older than me. He's 34. And, he's always been in trouble. He was spent the last like 3-4 years in prison. I don't know how long he was there. It was for, he had some sort of a weapon, but he had found this gun and he was in the bush, working up north. They call that the bush. Working up north in Canada with, he was one of those blasters, dynamite blasters. And he used to set dynamite for the oil and the drilling and all that. He would do the explosions. He was an explosive guy or whatever, one of them. And so he found some sort of a gun or something, some gun out in the middle of nowhere. He was carrying it illegally. He got busted. He actually did time for that. So he might have tried to rob a bank with it. I really don't know because my brother was always trying to rob banks and he used to get arrested and he'd get put in prison or get put in jail or whatever. So at this point, he's not in jail. He's not in prison. He's just wandering about. He lives in shelters. He lives in homeless shelters. He doesn't have an apartment. He can never get his life straight. He's 30. He's 7 years older than me. He's 34, and he's known nothing but the streets since he moved to Canada. At home, he knew nothing but abuse. So he was on drugs. He was high. See, just like me. Because that way, you can, when you're high, it makes it so much easier to put that abuse in the drawer, shut the drawer, turn the key, put the key away. And the drugs just made it so much easier because I don't have to deal then with this abuse and this garbage coming from my parents. See, I was not the only one who was abused. All of my siblings were abused. Some a little more than others, but hey, we were all living in the same home and we were all little pieces of shit and we were all worthless. And we were all getting the backhand, we were getting the belt, we were getting the stick, we were getting whatever, so I mean, we all got it, right? So, he's done drugs since he was probably, I wouldn't doubt he didn't start doing drugs when he was probably just a little guy because my brothers, his older siblings, my brothers, were doing drugs and they just got, he was doing drugs too. He's probably 10 years old doing drugs. I wouldn't doubt that one bit. So that's his lifestyle. That's what he does. He's been overdosing for years, got some brain damage from it. But he's a nice guy. He doesn't want to hurt people. I seriously doubt he goes around sexually abusing people and raping people. He doesn't have any girlfriends because he can't have a girlfriend. He's just too screwed up, But, I love my brother. I love Howard, 7 years older. He's the one who slapped me around when he caught me off the school grounds, but I let that go. I was like, oh, well, whatever, I feel sorry for him because he died on our kitchen floor and he almost died, from a drug overdose, laying on a couch, passed out, sandwich on the floor, his privates hanging out, his pants undone. I'm just looking at him like, dude, your life is just going to be just a mess. You know what I mean? Mine really was a little better than that, but, I was a drug user too. And it's absolutely horrific what this stuff does. So he calls my bro Howard. I haven't talked to him for years. I probably haven't talked to him. Oh, I don't even know. Maybe since he left. So many years before. And I'm just like, hey, bro, it's nice to talk to you. How are you doing? He's like, I hope you're doing well. He's like, oh, things are going pretty good. I graduated in prison because he got his GED in prison. He got his GED and he really was reading, getting into books and really enjoying learning. And he's starting to get a little bit of enjoyment out of something in life, He's still doing drugs. I'm sure he is. But he's talking to me and he's like, I just really, Christmas is coming and, I just want to come home and be with the family for Christmas. I'd really like that. I really want to come home. He's telling me on the phone, right? And I'm like, well, bro, I'm kind of broke, but I got a couple $100 I can pitch in on a ticket for you. I don't have enough to pay for the whole ticket though. And, but I'll see if mom will cough up the rest, you know? So I say, hold on, bro, and I'll find out and I'll talk to him. He's calling like long distance from Canada, I mean, this has got to be kind of a quick call. He's not living in a house with money, you know what I mean? I don't even know how he made that call. So it might have been collect. I don't know. But anyway, I can't remember that. So I go and I talk to him. I tell my mom, Howard's on the phone. And she's just like, and I'm like, yeah, he says he's doing really good. Things are going well. And, he's just hoping he can come home for Christmas. And my mom's like, he's not coming home. He's not coming home. He's just going to cause me nothing but trouble. And I can't control him. And he's not coming home. And she walks off. Trots off, right? And I'm thinking, you fucking bitch. You know what I mean? Because I told her, I said, I got like a couple $100 I can pitch on the plane ticket. But, you got to cough the rest. She's like, nope. And I'm like, son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, what a bitch. Her son wants to come home to be with the family for Christmas. Our family Christmases, not that great. You know what I mean? Really. Not with my mom around. I'm telling you, Christmas was hell at our house. And so, somebody was getting beat. It was usually me, right? So, it's like, I go back to the phone and I'm like, bro, man, mom says she doesn't have any money. Because I don't want to tell him that she said, no way. He'll just cause trouble. She's not allowing him to come back to the house for Christmas. Because it was only, I told her, I said, even for a couple of days, we'll just have him come for Christmas and ship him on back out, back north so he can cause problems up there instead of down here. Unbelievable, right? So I tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry, bro, man. I would have really loved to see you. I would love to have you come for Christmas, man. And, but we're not going to do much anyway. We're just going to hang out. So I didn't want to make it sound like it's going to be great without him. You know what I mean? And I said, but, I sure love you and I miss you. And, hopefully we can call and we can chat again, and he's like, yeah. Okay, well, you take care of yourself. And he hangs up. And I'm sad, and I'm pissed off at my mom because she's such a fucking, excuse my language. I'm 27 years old. I still cuss, right? She's such a fucking bitch. You know what I mean? Pops out these kids and it's like, oh, we're too much fucking trouble. We're always too much trouble. That's why we're always getting our ass beat, because we're too much trouble. We're just really horrible. We're just so bad, So I'm mad. So the rest of the winter continues on. We actually end up having a decent Christmas. No major fights, no major problems. I'm thinking about my bro, because I know that he's in Canada, and he's probably in a shelter, and he's probably thinking, they're having Christmas, and I wanted to go home, and I couldn't go home. Well, in April rolls around. We get a phone call. It's my brother Kevin, the one who always calls to tell us about dead brothers. He calls, he says, hey, Lori, I haven't talked to him for years because I never talked to him. I only talked to him once in a while. I think I've only had 3 conversations with him. I only saw him a couple of times in my lifetime, especially as an adult. He lives in Canada. It's too expensive to be coming down, going back and forth, right? But I did see him, spend a little bit of time with him here and there, but it's very rare. I didn't know him. He's my older brother, Kevin, the oldest son, 16 years older than me. So I'm 28, so he is 16 years older. He's 44. He calls, Laurie. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, good, bro. How you doing? He's like, well, I'm just calling to tell you that Howard's dead. Dead. Yeah. He was in a shelter and he overdosed. And I'm setting up the funeral. I'm dealing with all this, right? So this is when it's going to be. So if you guys want to come on up, you can tell Mom. And we'll arrange it. Calls back. I get off the phone. I'm pissed. Because it's right, his birthday, it's like it's his birthday that he dies in a shelter alone. His mother doesn't love him. His mother doesn't care that he's been on drugs since he was a boy, and that his dad beat on him. She beat on him. She let him do the drugs. He's been a drug addict his whole life. His life is a mess. I mean, he can take responsibility for the adult drug use, but see, it wasn't necessarily all those pills that took him out. It happened a long time ago, back when he was born into this house with these two parents who brought him into the world, and they said, "Welcome to our hell. Welcome to our hell." That's exactly what it was. So I got to go tell my mom, because my mom's at work. I don't work with her anymore. I don't work there. That job that I was working with her for 10 years, I've got another job. And I happen to be off that day. So I go over there. I got to tell my mom that her son is dead. You know what I mean? And I got to listen to her crying the blues. Again. So, but I care about my mom. And I know it's going to affect her. She's getting older now. Her health is not good. This is really not going to be good, having to do this, right? So I go over and I actually bring her into the office, because I don't want to tell her in the car or anything like that. We sit there with the manager, and I tell my mom, I said, "Look, I got something terrible. This is a terrible thing to tell you. You got to brace yourself. You need to sit down, and you need to breathe, and you need to calm down, and you need to relax. But I got to tell you that Howard was found dead, and drug overdose." So my mom's just sitting there. Oh, she was so upset. Oh, of course, the tears are flowing, because my mom could cry, see? We weren't allowed to cry, Yeah, you know that, right? So, we go to the funeral. It's my dad, my mom, my sister, and me. See, I'm pissed, because we could all afford the fucking plane tickets to go to his fucking funeral. This is my brother I'm talking about. This is my flesh and blood. He looked like me. I mean, we look a lot alike, right? We could afford the plane tickets to go to his funeral. But my mom wouldn't pitch out $200 fucking dollars to bring him home for Christmas, which I think would have saved his life. So I'm pissed, but I don't say anything to my mom. There's no point. She's not going to hit me now. I'm too old. I'm 28 years old. She's not going to hit me, but I'm not digging her like she's digging me, right? Because I'm trying real hard not to be my mother, right? That's just the whole thing. It's kind of like, leave it. My heart's broken. My sister's upset, Kathy. She's kind of like, not maybe as upset as I am, because she's not thinking about this whole thing like I am. She thinks our life is great. She doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on. My sister Kathy, even to this day, she's in so much denial and so much stupidity that I can't talk to her. I cut her off years ago, because her head is so far up her ass that she couldn't see the sunshine if it was right in front of her fucking face. She doesn't understand any of this stuff. She doesn't make sense of it. It doesn't connect. It doesn't clue in, right? But I still love her anyway. And she's actually a really awesome person. But as far as this family dysfunctional shit goes, she's got her head shoved up her ass so far it's not even funny. Look, Mom's rolling pin. Isn't it nice? I've got it. Oh, Mom, she used to make these most wonderful cookies. I know my mom made great cookies, but she beat and bashed me with that thing. She could have broke my bones. She did crack my skull open. Had my eyes rolling back in my head. I never saw right again after that. Just so everybody knows. I couldn't see right after that. Everything was changed. My whole visions just changed, right? She could have fucking killed me. Well, she was trying to. But I used to tell her to go ahead and kill me. But, it's just the issue that she didn't kill me. Then I wanted to die. You know what I mean? I'm like, so then I tried to take myself out. I'm sitting here thinking I could take myself out. Nobody else is taking me out. I'll take myself out. That's what my bro did. Nice. So we go to his funeral. And it was nice to see my other brother, Kevin, because I didn't get to see him too often, and his wife, and my nephew, their son. And we're up there for just like a couple of days, 3 days. And then we get his belongings, and it consists of a garbage bag because he's homeless. He's he's not a junkie. He's a drug addict. He's a pill popper. Right? And in his garbage bag, there's a hat. There's like a cap. There's a winter toque, which is a cap, like a winter cap. A pair of gloves. A jacket. A pair of pants. That's all he owned, was what he could drag around with him to these shelters and places. That's it. So my bro's handling all the stuff with the funeral, right? So they're not going to bury him. It's going to be pre-cremation as my brother Rob. Right? He's taking care of that. He had to take care of that with Rob too, right? Kevin, he just keeps burying his brothers. That's what he does. Right? He tried to help him. Couldn't help him. You can't get through. They're so screwed from the abuse, you can't get through. Now, my brother Kevin did his share of drugs when he was young, but he got smart, moved to Canada, found a really good woman, and stuck with her. And they're still together to this day. And he got off the drugs, right? So he had a good, pretty decent life, right? Kevin, right? The oldest son. But he had to bury his other two brothers, right? Not bury them, but cremate. So we go home. We come home from the funeral. And I know this has taken a huge toll on my mom. Even the traveling, just the flights alone is a major problem for my mom. And we get home. And the first night that we're home, actually, we go to bed that night, right? My mom's up in the middle of the night getting something to drink out of the fridge or something. She falls, she has a stroke, and she's broken her hip. And this is where the next chapter will pick up. And we'll take a look at that on the next one. Thanks, everybody, for your interest in my story. The next one's a little bit, not so much graphic, but, just a lot of anger and hostility. And we'll continue on. Thank you for your interest, like I said, for sharing my work. Thank you for everything you're doing, anything you're doing to protect children, to prevent child abuse, to stand up for child rights, to, learn the signs and symptoms of abuse, and for helping a survivor. If you're a survivor out there, I'm telling you, like I said, every day you have to get up and you have to care about yourself. You have to care about yourself. You do. Just like me. I had to learn to care about myself. And others. But in order for me to stay alive and to do this, I had to literally learn how to care about myself. And you have to do that too. And you get some help and you reach out and do not suffer in this mess by yourself. And do not be destroyed by this abuse. And we'll continue on. We'll look at the rest of 28 years old, 29. This is where my life kind of changes a bit, It's quite interesting for most people, I think. They would kind of be interested in seeing how the dynamics of a person growing up abused navigates their adult life, the things that can happen and the things that do happen. And so that's what we'll continue on with. And God bless you all. Talk to you soon.